following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Good morning and happy Easter. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you what I want for Easter. I hope I get a lot of bunnies in my Easter basket. No, I'm not talking about those bunnies, not the chocolate ones. The other kind, you know. I can dream, right? Okay. Good morning and welcome to another edition, the Easter edition of Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We are also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. So you have a variety of ways to listen to us, and we hope that you do for the entire morning here. We do have a lot to talk about here. We'll have some fun with, we're going to try something here on the show later on. And that is, we're going to attempt to pick a vice presidential running mate for Donald Trump. Okay. Look, everybody else has an opinion. Why don't we throw our hat in the ring? So we'll do that as well. And a lot of other things to talk about. It's you and me for the entire 3 hours. And, of course, our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. That's 609-407-1450. Got a lot to talk about today, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want you now to sit back, relax, and enjoy the John DeMasi story time. Because and Chris never heard the story, and he'll get a real charge out of it because he's in charge of programming here at the station. So he'll really get a kick out of this. But I want to tell you a story. And first of all, the theme is the inmates don't run the asylum. And I want you to keep that in mind. The inmates don't run the asylum. So many years ago, I ran a radio station here in South Jersey, and it is still in existence today, but it's a different format. And in fact, it's right next door. I mean, talk about coincidence. 104.9, which is now Sojo, but it was another format, and I ran it. And I'll tell you what, we had one particular employee who thought that he knew better than anybody else about everything. And of course, I don't want to put him down, but I mean, what was his credentials? I mean, he didn't really have any, except that he was a very good announcer, very good personality, but he wasn't anything special. But he thought that he knew better than anybody else. And one day I'm listening to the station as I'm driving around trying to sell advertising, and he plays several songs in a row that weren't part of our format. In other words, he just kind of went off the rails and played what he wanted to play. And it wasn't part of the format, and it wasn't any artist that anybody knew. And we used to play Sinatra and Sammy Davis and all of that. And he just went off the rails and played it and said he was going to play it again and said that the night announcer was going to play it. And I thought to myself, you know, he's done this before and he's done a lot of things before, and now we got to put a stop to it. And so what I did was, I got together with the program director, and I said to the program director, I'm going to suspend him. And what we did was we took all of the things that had his voice on it. We took them all off. We didn't mention his name. And he went home, and I told him, you're suspended until further notice. And I'll tell you what, he sat home for a week, and he was sweating. I mean, he was really sweating. And he would call other people and say, did he say anything about me? And, of course, I said nothing. And none of us said anything. So we just let him stew. And after 1 week, I decided that I would bring him back. But I cautioned him, and I said, this was a warning. The next time, it's dismissal. And the owner was on vacation at the time, and when he came back, he heard what I did, and he said, "You should have fired him." But I tell you that story, and it was really true. He said, "I don't care if you would have fired him." Well, I knew that. But the point of this story is the inmates don't run the asylum. And now I bring you this story. You heard me say what I did. Now let me tell you about NBC and their affiliate MSNBC and how they caved in to the inmates. NBC hired former Republican National Committee Chief Ronna McDaniel to be an on-air political contributor. And when I saw this, I said, boy, it's about time that MSNBC brings a conservative point of view. It's really, they're trying to broaden their horizons. Not so fast. The inmates got restless and they caused an uproar. Several of MSNBC and NBC hosts criticized the hiring of Ronna McDaniel. And they did it on air. This included, you ready? This is the whole lineup just about. Chuck Todd, Joe Scarborough, Joy Reid, Nicole Wallace, Jen Psaki, and Lawrence O'Donnell. By the way, they didn't say anything about Jen Psaki because she used to work for Biden. No, that's okay. All of them publicly protested the hiring of Ronna McDaniel. As Elon Musk said, NBC was caving in to the protesters and their employees. Those who protested said Ronna McDaniel's hiring was inappropriate because she believed in the big lie. The 2020 election was stolen. So what? She is now presenting another point of view. But you're never going to see it because what did they do? After a couple of days, they let her go. They said, we are not, you're not coming on. That's it. The inmates there run the asylum. MSNBC and the whole NBC network will never, it appears, hire any conservatives or offer other points of view. And there you see it, ladies and gentlemen, the proof. They got rid of Ronna McDaniel after what, a couple of days? And of course they went on people went on The View and they said, oh, they're right. Chuck Todd's right. And no, you're not right. Now, I understand they're all under contract. And I'm sure that they can't fire them, but maybe they can. Maybe they can. Maybe there's a clause in their contract that says insubordination or something. But can you imagine? Can you imagine that this happened and NBC caved in to the inmates? Really what it was? Yes, the inmates there at NBC run the asylum. So I thought you would enjoy that story time. And, well, that's how I handle it. I mean, you know, I always believe that. The inmates don't run the asylum. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. With that, we bring in the one, the only, the original, Seth Grossman, who's coming up in April, celebrating a big birthday, Seth. Happy early birthday.
Yes. I didn't even get an RSVP from one invited guest.
Well, you're getting it.
Do that on the air.
You're getting it on the air, okay? How could I miss that?
Right. Okay, I look forward to it. I can't believe I'm going to be 75 years old. I still always think of myself as the young radical moving into town after getting out of law school. But anyway, a lot of stuff is going on. First, on a personal note, I got my new driver's license, the Real ID. And I just want to warn everybody that it's a hassle. So if your license is about to expire, you got to deal with it now. Don't wait for the last minute where you just show up at motor vehicles and go get it, because you have to make an appointment online to renew your driver's license, and sometimes that takes a week or two. And then you have to read carefully all the documents you got to bring to go get it. And then when you finally get it and do everything, they mail it to you a week or two later. So unless you're an illegal alien, you need a driver's license. I mean, you can't even, or unless you want to vote, you need a driver's license. But you can't even get a pack of cigarettes at a Wawa if your driver's license is expired. So, take the extra time to do what you have to do to get it. That's just a warning. I was going to visit family in Florida, and I realized I couldn't even get on a plane if I let my driver's license expire. So it's a detail in this new world that we have to take care of. Now, today, Liberty and Prosperity is having a special presentation on what's called an Article 5 Convention of States to amend the Constitution. And we're warning people, don't be fooled by this. There's a lot of good conservatives say, oh, yeah, we need to amend the Constitution for a balanced budget amendment, or we need to have term limits. But you got to pay attention to the detail, because if you have a constitutional convention to do what you want, it could also abolish the First Amendment for free speech and call everything you say hate speech. It could abolish the Second Amendment to outlaw private gun ownership, like they do in Australia and England and most of Europe. It could get rid of the Electoral College so that New York and California will pick all of our presidents for the future. And if you have a constitutional convention, guess who's going to pick the delegates? It's not going to be you. It's going to be the same George Soros hand-picked, funded people that have all these crazy prosecutors who are letting all the criminals on the loose. So be careful what you wish for. That's going to be presented this Saturday. We meet every Saturday morning for breakfast, 9:30 to 10:30 at Sal's on New Road and Groveland Avenue in Summers Point. But that's the program for this Saturday.
Well, what else is going on? I mean, you've got so many things.
Yeah. Well, of course, let's not forget that this is Easter weekend. Yesterday was Good Friday. Last Sunday was Palm Sunday. And normally Jewish Passover and Christian Easter take place at the same time. In fact, the Hebrew word for Passover, Pesach, is almost the same as Pascua, the French and Italian and Spanish words for Easter. But because the Jewish calendar is a quirky kind of calendar that has a leap month instead of a leap day every few years, the Passover won't be till the full moon of next month. And the last full moon on last Sunday, Palm Sunday, was the Jewish festival of Purim. So I had an only in America moment as I'm driving up for this Jewish holiday of Purim, where we celebrate that the Jews were saved and we eat and drink and have a good time with family. So as I'm riding up on the parkway, and as soon as I lose WPGG, I was listening to a Palm Sunday service telling the story of the passion of Jesus, and it was interesting listening to the story from a Jewish perspective, because if I weren't Jewish, I'd be baffled by how on Palm Sunday the Jews welcomed Jesus into Jerusalem, cheering him and praising him and waving palm leaves to welcome him in. And then just a week later, or actually even just a few days later, they're arresting him and calling for his crucifixion. So how can you explain that total change in attitude? And if you understand, Jewish history, it's no mystery at all, because there were like different groups of Jews. The Jews who lived in Jerusalem, you might call them the globalists. They were with the high priest. They were with the Romans. They were the sophisticated business elites. But and of course, they were afraid of an outsider like Jesus getting a popular following in the countryside. But most ordinary Jews who lived in provinces and farms and villages like Galilee, they loved Jesus. They welcomed him whenever they saw him. But most of the Jews of the countryside never came to the big city, the capital of Jerusalem, except on certain festivals like the Passover. So Jerusalem was crowded with out-of-towners from the small villages when Jesus came. So, of course, they cheered Jesus because he was one of them. And it was the so-called globalists, the elites, who were working with the Romans, who were very fearful of Jesus. So, ironically, when you use the term Jew, it's just almost like the term Yankee. If you're out of the country, a Yankee refers to every single American. But if you're in America, of course, Yankee only means those people who lived in New England. So it's funny how you misuse a word to blame a whole group of people for just like a handful. And I guess one of the interesting things is, this is why Jesus had to be arrested at night, because the authorities knew if they tried to arrest him in the daytime, he'd be surrounded by thousands of Jews who adored him. And so you have to make a distinction between, those elite Jews who were close to the Romans and the ordinary people. And one of the side things I didn't even realize in the story as I was listening to the radio going up to Brooklyn was that when, what were most ordinary Jews doing on the night Jesus was arrested? It was the Seder. That is when Jews are with our families. We have to have at least 4 cups of wine so we could celebrate and rejoice in getting out of slavery in Egypt. So most Jews are really on Passover night, we're falling asleep. And I thought it's ironic that when Jesus knew something was up and he told his disciples, stand guard for me because something's going to happen. And I think 2 or 3 times his disciples, who were supposed to be watching on guard, they fell asleep. And, to anyone who's Jewish, we understand that because every Jew who's celebrating the Passover properly is falling asleep by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night because we had too much to drink. So to say that the Jews were plotting and scheming to arrest or crucify Jesus, they weren't there to be with Pontius Pilate because, again, they were all sleeping it off because that's what Jews do on the Passover holiday. Anyway, it was just to me, an American moment, just driving up to visit my cousins in Purim, which is the second festival where we're supposed to drink and eat a lot to celebrate. But that's some insight as to what's going on with the Easter story to explain, that difference.
Well, it's not unusual that the Catholics try to sell you something,
No, but it really makes sense, and I guess I owe it all. I was very lucky. When I went to Duke University, which is a Methodist college, it was mandatory for all incoming freshmen to study first semester Old Testament, second semester New Testament. And I think if every American had that basic knowledge, I think a lot of Jews would realize how Christian Judaism is and how Jewish Christianity is. It's really a common culture, especially when we're all under attack with these Wahhabi Muslims who want to destroy all of us.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what this weekend is about. Meanwhile, the news are very depressing. Going into New York, I'm surrounded by stories of women just walking on the sidewalk, going to work, going to the store, and just random people just punching them in the face, breaking their jaw, making them have extensive permanent damage to their face for no reason. And we're seeing all these videos of gangs of young black men and women attacking and savagely beating helpless people just because they're Asian and white or white. And you say, well, what is driving this? And it's pretty obvious. We have this hatred of whites being taught in our schools and popular culture, the fake black history, the fake woke history, where every evil in the world is somehow the fault of at first it was just toxic white men, but now that hatred is being projected on white women as well. So how do you fix this? Well, you have to change our whole Hollywood movie culture, our TV culture, what we're teaching in our schools. But we also have this so-called prison reform and bail reform that we've had during the past 10 years that puts these dangerous psychopaths out on the street, and anyone could be just randomly targeted just because you make eye contact with the wrong person, or even you just walk by. I mean, it's horrible, and we have to deal with it. And our police, who need to be focusing on that, are instead distracted with 8 million illegal aliens overwhelming our country. So you have to ask yourself, where are the Republicans? Have you heard a single Republican at the local, county, state, or federal level saying we need to get rid of that bail reform? We got to get rid of that prison reform. We got to put psychopaths in prison, and we got to keep them there because they're not getting rehabilitated. But I don't hear anyone saying that.
No, I don't either. No, you're right. I don't either. No.
And by the way, that case, remember about a month ago, I said there was a case brought by Andrew Kim to get rid of that little-known system in primary elections that lets the county Republican and Democratic bosses handpick the candidates, so that if someone like a Seth Grossman runs for state senate, I appear on row or column F in ballot Siberia. The federal court just knocked out that whole system. So for next year, there's a chance for ordinary citizens who really care about changing the way politics is done to get elected and get nominated. So there's a little bit of hope there that we could turn this around.
Well, that's all we can do is hope. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is ridiculous, and I'm with you. I don't know why anybody hasn't said anything. You know.
So anyway, that's a classic Jewish teaching that we pray for miracles, but we don't depend on them. We have to work for them, and it's too late to do anything this year. But the door is open to make major political changes next year here in New Jersey. So hopefully we could do something. Meanwhile, another random story, it comes from Italy. Giorgia Meloni in Italy. The big news was that Italy had the lowest number of births since Italy was created in the 1860s. And Elon Musk pointed that out. And, of course, the person being blamed for this is Giorgia Meloni, who was supposed to be the female Donald Trump of Italy, who was elected on fighting illegal immigration, fighting the global economy, promoting families. And yet in 2 years, in spite of all those campaign promises, it was a miserable failure and a disappointment. So a lot of Europeans are really worried that Italy is committing suicide by nobody is being born in Italy from Italians and being overwhelmed by illegal immigrants. So that's a depressing thing. And closer to home, last night in Ventnor, I was really honored to hear a very intense story from someone from a group called Faces of October 7th. You have several dozen survivors from Israel who lived through the attacks of October 7th, and they're going around speaking to various colleges and community groups. And you had a 29-year-old guy called Nikita Somrose from one of the villages near Gaza. And it's one thing to read a newspaper report or see something on video news, but to hear someone explain what it was like when he, 29 years old, his wife, his 5-year-old son, when the rockets went off and they went into their safe room like a bomb shelter to wait for the rockets to stop. And instead of the rockets stopping, they find out, they hear gunfire right outside their house. And they have their cell phones. And they could get text messages and find out that you have about 30 or 40 terrorists who are just going through their little village of 300 people, just banging on doors and breaking into the safe rooms and either shooting or kidnapping everybody there. And for them to be there for 12 hours before they were finally rescued, just the sheer terror. It was just a gripping experience, and I think everyone needs to understand why the people in Israel want to be safe. And it was just a fascinating story. And by the way, a little bit of history. Most Arabs did not move to Palestine until after the 1920s, when the Jews drained the malaria swamps, watered the deserts, planted the trees, and rebuilt the cities and farms. And if you don't believe Palestine was mostly empty till the Jews came, just read when Mark Twain visited there in the 1890s, and he reported how the place was mostly empty. That's because the Romans had rounded up and sold most of the Jews to slaves, and that the goats and camels of Arab nomads killed almost every bit of vegetation in Israel till the Jews got there. So we have to know that.
Thank you.
And there's just one other point. I don't know if you listened to any of Mark Levin last night.
No, I didn't hear it.
But Joe Rogan. But he was talking about Joe Rogan, very popular podcaster, and he was talking about how Israel is guilty of genocide because they murdered some unarmed Palestinian men. And if anyone knows how this kind of war is being fought, it's like the Hamas fanatics, the terrorists. It's like the mafia. They don't walk around carrying their weapons. They keep their weapons nearby. And then whenever they see, Israelis go by, they just take their weapons and they shoot them. And if the Israelis would shoot back, then the Israelis would kill like the women and children who were next to terrorists, because the terrorists would be shooting from their homes with their women and children right next door. So the Israelis figured out a tactic to deal with this. And instead of just attacking the terrorists when they were being shot at, the Israelis would just wait the terrorists out and wait until the terrorist had to go to the bathroom or had to go get something to eat or had to go do some other business. And then the Israeli soldiers would kill the terrorists when they did not have their weapons, when they were just leaving to do something. And that's normal in every single war. But you see how the Israelis are blamed? If they shoot back when they're being shot at, they're blamed for killing women and children.
Yeah.
And if the Israelis wait until the terrorists put their weapons down, go to the bathroom, go get food, go do something, then the Israelis are guilty of genocide for murdering unarmed Palestinian fighters. So you can't win. But America is going to be facing a war like this very, very soon. So we ought to learn from the Israelis what they said. What happens to the world happens to the Jews first. Anyway, Liberty and Prosperity meeting right now.
You're late.
About
You're late.
The evils of the Article 5 Constitutional Convention. Don't be fooled.
Okay. Seth, as always, good stuff. Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity, the website, libertyandprosperity.com. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We have, coming up after the break, John, Craig, George, and Alex, in that order, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. We'll get started with the show and your calls after these words.
Easter bread, pies, cakes, and all your holiday goodies. It's all right there at B.F. Mazzio. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, also has a full catering menu to make your holiday entertaining easier. And of course, don't forget their award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets. B.F. Mazzio, where you can shop online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com for the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere, plus gourmet items. There's only one place, B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, 609-407-1450. Let's talk to John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yes, good morning. Happy Easter, everybody.
Same to you.
Thank you. Actually, as a matter of fact, that Pontius Pilate was the procurator of Judea. He gives a lot of credibility to our faith because the procurator was in charge of finances. And even the tax collector Matthew, who wrote the first book of the New Testament, was a tax collector. The tax collectors were hated by the Jewish people because they were collecting money for a foreign agent, Rome, and they were keeping some of that money for themselves. But why did Jesus pick Matthew as the first author of the New Testament? Well, he does whatever he wants to. God tells us, we don't tell him. But anyway, if you take a look at underneath the pyramid, those Roman numerals are also, those letters rather, are also Roman numerals. And even, this is not aluminum foil wrap nonsense, even Google acknowledges that. Add those Roman numerals up, MDCCLXXI at 1776. And if you minus the base numbers, MXI 1110, you come up with 666. So if you believe everything's coincidental, then believe as you wish, but I don't think so. Why did the National Socialists celebrate May Day? That's MD May Day 1776, when the Illuminati was organized. Actually, Adam Weishaupt did not invent Illuminism. He was a great organizer, is what he did. But why did the National Socialists celebrate May Day? I mean, that's a high day to the communists. And the communists, what I remember growing up as a kid, that the USSR prided itself on being atheistic. You know, and Yuri Gagarin supposedly had said, when he took his Sputnik and circled the Earth with it, he said, I looked for God, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Well, Khrushchev actually attributed that saying to him, but actually it was Khrushchev that said it. But nonetheless, they did not believe in God or a spirit world. Well, why would they celebrate May Day? Because Beltane is when the veil between the spirit world and the physical world is at its thinnest. There's a lot of things that don't add up, because that was the Illuminati actually found it, Illuminism, the poisonous tree of Illuminism produced two poisonous fruit, communism and National Socialism. So socialist is what it really is. I forgot what I was going to say, too. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay, John. Well, it's a rare day that John forgets what he's going to say, because he's got a lot to say. Maybe he'll call later if he remembers. Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome to Talk with the Purpose.
Well, good morning, John, and happy Easter to
Same
you
to
and
you.
your listening audience. What a nice day here. But what a week, huh?
Yeah.
So we had a little incident down there in Baltimore.
Jeez. How about that, huh?
I thought you would lead off with that.
No, I mean, what can I say about that? Man, I'll tell you.
Can I take your breath away? If I take your breath away, I get an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
Hold off the Mazio commercial and the Lexus commercial. Okay, right. For a second. I heard Chris laugh in the background. Hey, I just gave him 2 plugs.
Okay.
But anyway, Biden in February this year, he put out a presidential order, about cybersecurity problems in ports in the United States. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And that's because he heard of potential cyber threats coming to those ports. Now, if you were going to do something to America, and you really wanted to make a statement, I'm going to ask you for a little help. What was the name of that bridge again?
Francis Scott Key.
And what did he do?
Oh, he wrote the national anthem.
There you go. And you know who loved him? Jefferson, President Jefferson. So, and he also made him the district attorney of Washington, D.C. But a lot of people don't know that. But, allegedly from my tinfoil hat, because you remember I told you about McConnell's sister who, drowned in the Tesla car that was sitting in the water for 2 hours that they couldn't get to her. You know what they're saying?
What?
That's her ship.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Okay, and then we also, so we're going to go a little bit deeper here because we got tic-tac-toe for New York. How about that Stormy Daniels thing coming back?
Yeah.
You know what they're saying about that, don't you?
No. What are they saying?
Well, first of all, her name isn't even Stormy Daniels. You know that, right?
Oh, I know that. Yes, I know that.
You knew that it was Crawford?
Yeah, I knew that because they all have a stage name or a made-up name, but it's never their real name.
And what was she? What was the stage name for? Was she in theater?
Well, you may call it that. But
well, what kind? I never saw an Emmy or a Grammy, so she had a stage name for what, John?
She did porn.
Okay, so here's a girl that does porn that's suing Donald for doing what?
for having sex.
for what she does best.
Yes.
Her career, that's what she specializes in that.
That's right.
But actually, they're saying that Cohen paid her because actually it was Cohen that was actually having the sex with her. And then Cohen allegedly, used Donald Trump's money, the $200,000, to pay off her because Donald had so much money at the time coming in that he wouldn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty terrible, as far as that goes. But, I'm going to leave you with that one. Don't forget, people, that other lawsuit that's going on where Trump can't talk about it. That Donna Karen dress that woman that got raped in Bertolf Goodman's, that dress wasn't even out yet. Did you know that, John?
No.
Oh, yeah, the dress that she's in on the New Yorker magazine that she wore that she said she got raped in, Donna Karen didn't even design it yet.
Jeez.
You getting the picture here?
Yeah.
Are you people getting the picture?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Fannie Mae going to Washington, and her lover boyfriend Turney, who's prosecuting Trump. He's going to Washington, but he's not hooking up with D.C. But the problem was he billed, the state of Georgia for making that trip to Washington D.C. But he wasn't at the White House.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're right about Romney. Okay, that was horrible about her getting fired.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a good thing for Donald Trump because all of a sudden, the rhinos got a taste of their own medicine, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Happy Easter.
Same to you.
I do believe in Jesus, and thank you, Jesus, for giving your life up for my soul. I'll leave you with that, John.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the call, Craig. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We'll talk to Alex after the break and maybe you at 609-407-1450. Just before I go to break, here is what Letitia James said, and she is the prosecutor in New York. She said that Trump and his co-defendants were too male, too pale, and too stale. Now, can you imagine a white person saying that about a black person? First of all, they would have been fired immediately, and there would have been backlash all over the country. But we do have a double standard in this country. Again, 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. But first, if you're hosting or you're having your family over or whatever for Easter dinner, and you don't have it all together yet, I suggest you go to the one place that can rescue you and rescue you immediately, and that is BF Mazzeo. Because, I mean, can you get all the things accomplished in one visit? Certainly. You can order the sides, the catering. You can get the fruit baskets, the gift baskets. You can get the cookies. You can get all that stuff, and you'll be a hero with your family. And they'll never know the difference, unless you tell them, of course. BF Mazzeo, the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere, and your holiday headquarters, whether it's Easter or Passover or Christmas or whatever. BF Mazzeo has it, and they'll take care of you. All you have to do is just tell them, I'm having 15 people, I'm having 20 people. They'll do it for you. BF Mazzeo, not only that, but baked goods, prepared foods, and all kinds of gourmet items. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. They have these gourmet pizzas, those personal pizzas, and they really are delicious. I tried one. I'm going to get another one today. But, it's perfect in a pinch. You don't want to cook? Hey, that's the deal. And speaking of cooking, you don't want to cook? Well, there you go. You go to BF Mazzeo, you'll get everything. I mean, prepared foods, too numerous to mention. BF Mazzio, online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. And remember, they're at 601 New Road in Northfield. And if you're there at around 12:05 today, you'll see me there. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For today, breezy this morning, otherwise some sunshine giving way to clouds with a shower in spots late this afternoon with a high of 60. For tonight, a passing evening shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low of 45. For tomorrow, nice with clouds and sunshine, high 67. Tomorrow night, plenty of clouds with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm with a low of 48. I'm AccuWeather's Caitlin Lawrence on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
And if you want to email me during the week, you can do that, jdadv1 at comcast.net. jdadv1 at comcast.net. That's the email address. Send me anything you like, and we'll try to incorporate it into the program. It's that simple. jdadv1 at comcast.net. Let's go back to the phones. Alex in Buna. Alex, you're on Talk with a Purpose. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, John.
Good morning.
Always enjoy your show, and I'm investing in two things: aluminum foil and and knitting threads. You ever watch the TV where they get the perp boards and one line goes here and then goes there?
Yeah.
And it goes in 17 different directions, and at the end they tell you it proves their point. But anyway, I'm calling about basically what I called about last week, about Trump winning the election and how he'll essentially be neutered. The first thing I want to correct is you had a woman call that, of course, misquoted me, and she said that I said that Donald Trump breaks the first two commandments of the 10 commandments, and I did not say that. What I said is, and she proves my point, is that when fans of Donald Trump call your station or any other station, they break the first two commandments of the 10 commandments. He is running for office. He's not a savior, but you wouldn't know it. Anyway, to get back to my point about what happens if Trump wins. Well, it's already looking like the Republicans are not going to control the Senate. So that's one. And now it looks like at best, and I could be wrong, Republicans may end up with a one-vote majority in the House, or it just might be an even split. So that, again, to add on, plus the court cases are going to be coming, he won't be able to accomplish much. He'll make his supporters feel good that he got elected, but I'm telling you, holy Joe Biden there, the man who claims his train crossed the Francis Scott Bridge many times.
I heard that. And wait a minute. There's no train that goes across that bridge.
Never has.
Never has. That's anyway, Joe Biden for you.
Yeah. So he is raising money like no tomorrow.
That's right.
And he's got a war chest. And you know what's going to happen? Come as we get closer to the election, you are going to be inundated with ads on TV, on YouTube, and social media. It's just going to be a blitz. I don't see how the Trump campaign could even compete with that amount of money unless he's going to take some of the money he made selling parts of True Social and spending it for the election. But I'm no fan of Biden, but my feeling has always been we have Biden because of Trump. And I just think that it's not going to be what his supporters think it's going to be. And the only thing I'll add here on the end, Biden said something stupid about that dolly, that garbage scow crashing into the bridge. And there's all the conspiracy theories were flying, not even 12 hours. And as Dom Giordano, who I'm sure you know, has said, for many, conspiracy theories are like sex. Well, that ship, you could put your conspiracy theories to bed, folks. That ship had been sighted in the last year twice in Australia for on marine inspections for engine problems and everything else. It's been cited in other countries. It's been cited for kidnapping because its crew is mostly from India, and they are only supposed to be on that ship 9 months, and they wouldn't let them off the ship. They basically kept them prisoners. So it's not a conspiracy, folks. What it is that many countries will flag vessels that are not seaworthy. And the reason that companies go to these countries is because if they did it in the United States, it would cost them 5 to 10 times as much to flag the vessel here. So what they do is they go to some country that'll take their money and they hang a flag off of the rear of even the worst of marine vessels. So that's the story there. And I wanted to get that out. But again, I did not say Trump broke the first 2 commandments, folks. I said his supporters, when they call, break the first 2 commandments. Anyway, everyone have a blessed Easter.
You too, Alex.
Be safe and stay well. Thanks, John.
Thanks for the good call. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I was going to save this for later on in the show, but Alex mentioned the war chest that Biden has. Do you know what he raised just the other night? Thursday night, they had a big, big fundraiser in New York. He raised $25 million alone in that period. $25 million in one night. So, according to the numbers, what they're saying, it's 55 million for Biden, and Trump has 37 million on hand. But he's got a big dinner in Florida next week, I believe, and he's supposed to raise 33 million there. But still, if you add that to the 37, he's behind Biden by a lot. So that's concerning. The war chest. And I mean, that buys a lot of TV ads. And Alex is right. You're going to see as we get closer to the election. It's not going to be now, not much now, but as we get closer to the election, boy, they're going to come in and they're going to flood the airwaves with commercials and I mean, you're going to think that Biden owns the network. That's what's going to happen. So we'll see. Talk with a Purpose is the show every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. A rare moment in the show where we got some open lines. So you want to jump in, 609-407-1450, 609-407-1450. I know you're going to be disappointed at this. I mean, you're really, in fact, this may even bring you to tears. Tammy Murphy has suspended her campaign for the Senate. Are you want an extra handkerchief or two? Do you think maybe it's because, I mean, all of the counties seem to be rallying behind Andy Kim, and I know in Atlantic County the Democrats are endorsing him. But not to be outdone, Governor Murphy, Uncle Phil, and no disrespect to my late Uncle Phil, because I did have an Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil has done it again. He signed into law a bill that would raise the state's gas tax and would levy a new registration fee on electric vehicles. Boy, oh boy, he's at it again. The bill would raise revenue targets for New Jersey's gas taxes, roughly 18% over 5 years. 18% over 5 years. I mean, aren't we taxed very high right now? I just don't get it. 18%. I just, that's really, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Uncle Phil. Tony and AC, good morning. Welcome. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, and happy Easter to you and your listeners.
Same to you. Same to you.
The last caller was kind of very negative what Trump could do, but, executive order. He's going to restore the pipeline, to shore up the border, and do things like overturn the emissions control, which is going to prohibit gas vehicles in 10 or 20 years in certain states. I think with the executive order, he'll get a lot done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Things that'll put people back to work, lower the prices, and that'll be 3 or 4 or 5 different things he can do. I can't think of them all, but there are more things he can do with the executive order. So, the guy's got to be reelected, really.
Yeah, really I agree. No, I agree.
Yeah, I'm watching a guy in the Oval Office now that I would personally build a gallows for and hang him by his toes over a pool of shorts.
Oh, jeez.
And I said that before, and somebody said no, but tie it around the ankles. It'll take him longer to scream. The toes, he won't last long with just the toes, so make him suffer more. I believe it. This guy is an absolute crook. 50-year politician who stabbed make money every which way illegally. We can go on and on.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for the call. Talk about getting graphic there. Oh, the sharks are biting, huh? Andy and Brigantine. Andy, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, John. It's a great day in Brigantine.
Yes, it is.
I have to say, who was made out to be a god, the savior of the world, more than Barack Hussein Obama?
Yeah.
Do you remember the way this guy was treated? It was like the second coming of Christ.
Yep.
This guy could do no wrong.
That's right.
And you know something? All these people who think that Donald Trump is the devil incarnate and has such aberrant behavior. He slept with a porn star. He cheated on his wife. He's been divorced twice. They reelected a rapist named Bill Clinton. And you know how I know he's a rapist? Because Juanita Broderick accused him of raping her. And Hillary Clinton says that survivors of sexual assault must be heard, supported, and believed. So therefore, Bill Clinton, that means that Hillary herself believes that her husband is a rapist. Okay?
Yeah, you forgot Jennifer Flowers. Remember that?
Well, yes, but I'm talking about Juanita Broderick because she specifically accused him of raping her.
Yeah.
And if we were told all during the Kavanaugh hearings that women do not lie about these things, that we must believe them because they are women, even though they can't define what a woman is, but we must believe women when they say they were raped. So therefore, because Juanita Broderick said that Bill Clinton raped her, we must believe her. Therefore, it is true. And what's past his prologue with Bill Clinton, because there was a number of women that he had done things to, and even Joe Biden, who digitally penetrated Tara Reid, pressed her up against the wall and put his hand up her dress and digitally penetrated her. Okay? She accused Joe Biden of that. We must believe her. We were told that. We must believe women. They do not lie about these things.
Yeah.
But they believe E. Jean Carroll, but the women who accuse Democrats of these things are Looney Tunes. Yeah. They're bimbo eruptions. They're whack jobs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, Seth was talking about these men going around punching women in the heads in New York City. New York City is just a toilet. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time there. So, and you question why people of a certain ilk, and I think you know what I'm saying, are doing these kinds of things, okay?
Yep.
Because this government has bent over backwards to tell people of this group that you can do whatever you want and we will not prosecute you. They have rewritten laws. They have decriminalized certain crimes because they disproportionately affect people of color. That means what you're saying is that it's mostly people of color who are doing these bad things.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you the racist?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know how much time you have here, John.
You know what? You want to hold that thought, and then we'll pick you up after the news. Okay?
There you go. Thank you.
Hold on. Okay. Seems like he has a lot more to say. Andy, are you kidding? Has a lot more to say? Oh, it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday night till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. 609-407-1450. We're getting some calls in for the 10 o'clock hour. And we'll, I'm going to tell you about the Three Stooges. They're alive and well. What? I thought they had passed on. No, they're alive and well. I'll tell you all about that. And concerns about Trump and the election. Although the polls show one thing, I'm worried. We'll talk about that. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2 is on the way. And you know what we say, don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Good to have you with us. A lot to talk about still between now and noon. 609-407-1450, our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. Let's pick up where we left off in the last hour and talk to Andy again. Andy, welcome back.
Yeah, John, we were talking about people of a certain color who not seemingly, but do commit most of the crimes in this country. And if you want to call me a racist, go right ahead, because that word no longer has any meaning. These are the FBI's own statistics, and that's Joe Biden's FBI, so I guess he must be the racist. That 50% of the crimes in this country are committed by young black men, okay? That police officer that was shot and killed the other day, okay? He was shot and killed by a black man.
Yes.
A white police officer, white police officer is 18 times more likely to be shot by a black perp than vice versa. Okay, 90% of black murder victims are killed by other blacks. Now, why are these white people under attack? There isn't a day goes by, John, that someone in the media, whether it's Hollywood, the news media, just a Democrat in Congress, doesn't say something pejorative, derogatory about white people. By name, they specifically say white people this and white people that. You can watch The View any day of the week, your favorite show, and you can hear these personally unhappy harridan hags trashing white people. So if you're a young black man and you have a propensity for causing trouble anyway, hey, let's go after Whitey because it's okay. They're not going to do anything to me. When you tell people, it's just like raising children. They will do what they know they can get away with.
Right.
If the punishment is immediate and severe, your child will stop behaving the way he's behaving. Okay? Now, I want to read something to you, just a quick paragraph. So this mayor in Baltimore, Brandon Scott, he looks like he's about ready to go to his high school prom. Okay? I don't know if you've seen him speak since this ship hit the bridge.
No, I haven't
or
seen.
As Tom Moran would say, the ship hit the span. Okay. All right. So he is as unimpressive, unaccomplished, lacking in gravitas, and as poor a public speaker as you can possibly be. But it is Baltimore after all, and if you look at the constituency there, this is why he is the mayor.
Yep.
Okay? And it's why you keep getting people like Letitia James and Fannie Willis and Marty Small, okay? People vote because of the way somebody looks. That's it. Okay. So this guy, this is the mayor of Baltimore, which has had their problems, as you know, John. This mayor told Joyless Reed, another one, on MSNBC, he said, quote, "The fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology," he's speaking specifically about white men now. He said, "The fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them," white men. Because me being in my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life, of being comfortable while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk. And they should be afraid because that's my purpose in life. What he's saying is his purpose in life is to put white men at risk, to make them uncomfortable and put them at risk. Dare I say, John, is this mayor calling for a bloodbath of white men? Because what's past is prologue. You saw what happened in Baltimore after Freddie Gray. Remember, the mayor then was Stephanie Rawlings Blake. And after Freddie Gray died in police custody, and people of this mayor's ilk were burning down their own city, Stephanie Rawlings Blake told the police to stand down. She said, "It's only property. Let them loot."
Yep.
You know why? Because it was white people's property.
That's right.
She didn't care. Okay?
Right.
So this guy, to me, he's inciting violence against white people.
Yeah.
And so it's no surprise, going back to what Seth said, that you see these people doing these things, pushing people onto subway tracks, punching women in the face, beating up old people. It's not going to stop because the Democrats and the people in the media are tacitly telling these people it's okay to do these things. We're not going to prosecute.
That's right. Andy, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We'll get back to the calls in a moment, but I just want to tell you, the Three Stooges are alive and well. You thought they were deceased? No. I'm not talking about those Three Stooges. I'm talking about the new Three Stooges. One of the best lines ever from Donald Trump. He attended the funeral, and Andy was just mentioning that slain New York police officer, Jonathan Diller. He was fatally shot on Monday evening during a traffic stop. He was married with a 1-year-old son. When speaking to reporters at the funeral, Donald Trump said the Three Stooges are at a glitzy fundraiser in Manhattan with their out-of-touch constituents. The Three Stooges Biden, Clinton, and Obama. I thought it was a great line. Trump called for law and order while speaking to reporters. Somebody's got to stop this thing. This is like a runaway train. Let's talk to Mike. Mike, you're on Talk with a Purpose. Good morning.
Hey there, brother. That last caller, I love him. He's at our meetings. And you know how we choose the leaders? He's our leader at our meetings. That last caller you had?
Yes.
Love him. He wears the whitest hood. And his homie, his boyfriend, cleans it so good that he has the whitest hood so he can lead our meetings. Now, getting back to our leader, Trump, the thing I love about him is when he's getting hit bad, he hits him with the racism and the bigotry that we all love, right, brother?
Yes.
That's our thing. We love when he goes after him racially, like Nikki Haley, the dothead, right? We love that stuff about him. How he made fun of her husband for serving overseas when not one Trump's ever served in the military. We love that crap about him, don't we? We love when he picks on people when he's really talking about himself, right? Isn't that what we love? I love that about him. I don't know about you. Do you love that about him?
I don't know what.
Do you love? Hey, do you love when? Do you know his father, Fred Trump? You ever heard of him?
I heard of him. Yeah.
You know what my favorite quote from Fred Trump is? The only time he ever lost money involved with business was when he got his son Donnie involved. That guy made money at the yin yang for decades, and then he got his son Donnie involved, and he started losing money. That's what I love about Trump. He's a loser. He's just like you. He's just like the rest of them. The one at my meeting.
That's enough of that, Mike. Thanks for the call. Okay. How would you like to follow that call? Paul and EHT. Paul, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. I'm calling about the Phillies game yesterday. I don't know if you watched it or not.
Unfortunately, Paul, yes, I did.
But Wheeler had Atlanta, and I don't know if Wheeler told the manager he was tired, but the manager had to go to his bullpen. Boom, the Phillies lose the game. If I was the owner of the Phillies, I would have said to the manager, "You're fired." Okay, I don't know if this thing with pitch count and stuff like that. Wheeler had Atlanta eating Alba's hand.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And the manager has to go to the bullpen. Guess what? Boom, Atlanta ties the game, and then they win again.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why. I don't know why when a pitcher, Wheeler had a shutout. Okay.
Yeah. It's baffling. And Paul, thanks for the call. Just let me say this about the Phillies. As much as we hyped up this season, and as much as they said, well, we're going to do it this year, this is it, this is our year. In one game, the problems were exactly the same as last year. Exactly. There was Nick Castellanos, 3 strikeouts, swinging at pitches that he couldn't have hit with a clothes prop. Okay? That's number one. Number 2, the bullpen, that Paul just said. I mean, as we digress into sports here, we'll let the guys next door do that. Yeah. But the point is, everything they said they would change, Trey Turner makes an error. Gee, that never happened last year, did it? Led the league in that at his position. So everything was the same in one game. Everything was the same as it was last year. Mm-hmm. Is that a World Series team? Not what they showed yesterday. So get ready, Phillies fans. Oh. All right. Can we get back to what we were talking about? 609-407-1450. We got some open lines here. This is what I'm concerned about, and we'll get into this more throughout the show. I'm concerned about the upcoming presidential election because many of the polls show that Donald Trump is the front runner. But I'm still concerned. And here's a few what ifs. What if inflation falls far enough for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates? Will that be enough? People will say, everything's all right now. That's a concern because that goes against Trump. What if crossings at the U.S.-Mexican border slow down so that immigration becomes less of an issue? That's also a concern, and that's also something that Trump doesn't want to see. I think it's in favor of Biden. Will the war in Gaza subside enough to allow Biden to heal the wounds of his fractured base? That's another thing. And what if Trump is convicted of a major crime before the election? Will Trump have enough money to wage a campaign against Biden? Remember, they're flush with cash. They raised $25 million Thursday night. $25 million in a night. Many, many questions. And as I've said before, if you're the casual voter, the, passive voter, it's all right. Biden, okay. We'll see. It's a long way now between now and November. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and online at WPGTalkRadio.com. I'm John DeMasi. We will get back to more of Talk with a Purpose. In fact, we'll talk to Dan, and maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. We'll get back to more of Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. In the early years of this show, I talked about people that I converted to Lexus. And I'm still converting them. Come on. Friend of my niece's, she texted me the other day. She said, what's the name of that salesperson I had? She was really good, and I want to get another car. I want to get an SUV. And, of course, we're talking about Helen at Lexus of Atlantic City. And she went down there and got herself an SUV. How about that? Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. They make it easy for you. It's a great car. That's number one. And it's a great dealership. That's number two. And number three, great salespeople like Helen. All you have to do is go in there, say, hey, look, I'm looking for this. This is what I want. And there's no hassling of, hey, we got to bring the TO guy in, and he's going to tell you why you should buy this other car for more money. No, none of that stuff. None of that stuff at all. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Online at aclexus.com. That's aclexus.com. Check it out for yourself. It's a nice day. Good day to look for a car. It certainly is. Lexus of Atlantic City, again, online. You can see all the cars at aclexus.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for LibertyAndProsperity.com. Everyone who lives near the ocean or the bay knows that we have a bad storm and flooding about every 20 years. Some people want their shore houses built on pilings. However, others like me would rather pay for major repairs and improvements every 20 years than walk up and down an extra set of steps every day. At one time, Americans were free to decide what kind of house we lived in, but not anymore. If you live in any shore town from Brigantine to Cape May, you may not get a permit for new bathrooms or new kitchen unless you first spend another $75,000 to raise your house 14 feet off the ground. Learn the details and what we can do about it. Visit LibertyAndProsperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. LibertyAndProsperity.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to listen to any of our shows at any time, well, we make it easy for you. All you have to do is Google John DeMasi podcasts, and they all come up. It's that simple. You'll see, a couple hundred shows? I can't believe it. I've done that many. Maybe I've done more. Google John DeMasi podcasts, and all the shows come up. It's that simple. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Another rare moment in the show where we have some open lines. So if you want to jump in, 609-407-1450 is our number here. 609-407-1450. Would you pay $100,000 to get your picture taken with 3 presidents? Would you pay that?
Yes.
You would pay $100,000?
Getting served ads on my phone every 12 hours before the event happened. Every 12 hours.
Oh, my goodness. You could have a picture with Biden, Clinton, and Obama for $100,000. Or, as Donald Trump said, that's a picture with the 3 Stooges. Oh... What can I tell you? But in any case, we were talking earlier about concerns about Trump winning the election. If inflation goes down, if they cut interest rates, if illegal crossings diminish, if Trump is convicted of a major crime, if the war in Israel subsides, these are all the things that can happen. And they can affect Trump, I guess, in a negative way by really being pro-Biden. So that's the issue. So, I'm concerned about that. And the fact that, he's outraising Trump by a lot. A lot. I think it's now he's got $155 million in his war chest. Well, I'll tell you. 609-407-1450. Let's talk to Bob. Bob, where are you? You home yet?
No, I'm in Boca Grande, Florida.
Oh, man. I feel for you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here. Just gorgeous day, John. But hey, look, you really had some interesting callers today. This dope that called right after Andy, I believe, that claimed that Fred Trump was somehow not very happy with his son. That is a load of garbage.
Oh yeah,
total garbage. Now, he was the favorite child of the Trumps.
Yes, he was.
Fred and his wife, number one. We got this from Robert Trump's business partner in 2016 when we sat in Tampa in a VIP room waiting to meet the future president. Okay, so Trump's business partner, Robert Trump, Trump's younger brother, told us this, that Donald was always the favorite child. And the truth being here that my wife worked in the Trump Marina for a long time, almost 2 decades. She sat Fred Trump and his wife. They were the nicest people in the world. Totally tremendous people. The younger children from the first marriage were the most well-behaved children imaginable. So, the Trump family is a good family. That's just the reality of it, okay? And so, Alex that called earlier, I believe it was last week. It seemed like he was leaning toward voting Trump, but hearing his call today that Trump isn't going to get much done. Well, one, the Senate. There are Senate races in states where Trump is leading. The Senate candidates on the Republican side are losing slightly, but the Democrats have to defend 9 more seats than Republicans this election cycle. That is a super heavy lift. And there are some, for sure, losses for the Democrats, Ohio being one of them. This guy, Ohio is a deep red state now, and their incumbent senator is going down. He's going to lose. So, it's not a fait accompli that we are going to not win the Senate. That is total crap. So, again, we've got, and it's not, Alex, it's not what Trump can't do, okay? It's not about that. There's a lot that he can do, like putting back the Keystone XL pipeline, like getting rid of the green energy mandates, like electric cars for everybody. There is a lot that he can do. But on the reverse side, there is so much more destruction that Biden and his leftist Democrat communist will do. So, you know, this is a no-brainer for those of us who want to keep our country, who want to keep this economy going, who want to keep the middle class strong and have real wage growth like we had like in no era before in President Trump's first 3 years before COVID hit, which he had nothing to do with. So, you know, again, it's so evident that you know, it is not a 50-50 proposition in terms of what is the harm that's going to happen to the country. Biden gets elected and Democrats get both houses of Congress, we are in deep trouble.
Oh, yeah.
One more point,
One
more point I want to make. They may be on the verge of getting both houses of Congress. You have establishment Republicans that are deliberately resigning, keeping their seats open. We may lose the majority now. The George Santos forced resignation was, again, engineered by the Democrats and the establishment Republicans. You know, Menendez is still in the Senate.
Yeah.
And he's a criminal.
Yes.
We know he's a criminal. Right? And so, you know, and we have this guy, Mike Gallagher, who they thought was a rising star in the Republican Party, representative from Wisconsin. He was, I believe, a chairman of one of the committees even. Instead of resigning early, he's resigning after April 19th, so that seat stays open till the next election cycle, meaning that seat doesn't get filled till January 2025. So, you know, I believe if they lose one or two more seats through death, through accident, you know, whatever, that Jeffries becomes speaker, and then it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get all this legislation passed. It's, you know, it's. You know,
yeah. Didn't
we're in deep trouble, John?
Didn't Fred Trump? Didn't he help Donald Trump with the casino? Didn't he one time put $1 million in? I'm
not sure, John, but I will tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this from my lived experience and what I've seen. You know, growing up in Cape May, you know, my parents moved there in the late 60s, okay? And, you know, we built a motel on the ocean front in the late 70s. My parents were old already. My father was 70 years old when we built our oceanfront motel. I was just out of LaSalle College by a year, okay? But I'll tell you this. The children of wealth, okay, they normally don't amount to much.
That's right.
I saw this with a lot of my.
That's right.
The kids that were my age, that you know, the parents owned motels in Cape May. They had a lot of money, but you know what? A lot of them, in fact, most of them, John, they were just, you know, turned to drugs. They were they turned out to be horrible people. So, yes, Donald Trump grew up with money, but you know what? He turned the Trump company and increased its worth by about 50-fold, at least.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and instead of living a life of leisure, he worked hard. And, you know, the values that Fred Trump imparted on his kids were values of, it wasn't money that he gave them. He gave them a sense of accomplishment that devoting yourself to a task, working hard, and seeing that task fulfilled is a reward that money can't buy. You know, and
right.
I saw that with my parents. Right. I saw how my parents worked their damn butts off, and despite having all sorts of stuff go against them. And you know what? I wasn't going to piss that away. And in a small scale, you know, I took that business and I made it a lot better. But you know what? You know, it's you know, saying that Trump had a silver spoon and this is all given to him, it's a load of crap, total crap.
You know, you're onto something with what you were saying. The first generation business owners successful, first to second, the success rate is like maybe 10%, and second to third is like 1%. So it's like, so you're right.
Because, John, the giving the next generation material things, giving them money, that's not what you should be giving them as a parent. You should be giving them values. You should be giving them a work ethic. And,
that's right.
And, you know, we don't have that.
No,
we just
don't
have that anymore.
Yeah, Bob, as always, thanks for your good call.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, too. Thank you. 609-407-1450. That's the number here. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I know Harry talked about this yesterday. He was on our show last week. Mayor Marty Small, mayor of Atlantic City. Thursday, a search warrant was executed at Mayor Small's home. And we also understand that the principal of Atlantic City High School, there was an incident where she knew of a situation where a student came to her and told her that they were being abused by their parents. And the principal supposedly, allegedly, did not report it. So we got a couple of local stories which we'll be following on, and WPG will be following as well on our website at WPGTalkRadio.com. Both are concerning, and we'll see what happens there. But that's what happened a couple of days here this week in Atlantic City. In the meantime, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little game. We're going to say we're going to make the case for a specific, or you're going to make the case for a specific running mate for Donald Trump, whether it be Kristi Noem, Carrie Lake, or any of the above. So, what is your choice for a running mate for Donald Trump? It's that simple. Who will be his running mate in this election? Now, usually, candidates pick a running mate because, he helps them with name recognition. Well, Trump doesn't need that. Let's see. Is there a candidate who will help President Trump in his quest for the White House? Let's run down the candidates. Is it Marjorie Taylor Greene, Carrie Lake, Kristi Noem? How about Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, or somebody else? What do you think? Do you have a choice? And we are taking that choice right now. And who knows, whoever wins in our little informal survey, we'll pass it along to President Trump. Maybe he'll take it. Maybe he won't. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. By the way, speaking of Marty Small, and, say what you want, but he continues to me, delivering. City taxpayers will see a reduction in both their school and municipal tax rates. The reduction of city taxes will save property owners in the city about $100 on each $100,000 of property value. So if your home is appraised at $200,000, you'll get a $200 tax break. Pretty good news, but we don't hear too much about that. Well, you heard it here. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We're going to take a little early break here, and then we'll come back and we'll see the results of our survey. 609-407-1450. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
Easter bread, pies, cakes, and all your holiday goodies. It's all right there at BF Mazzio. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, also has a full catering menu to make your holiday entertaining easier. And of course, don't forget their award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets. BF Mazzio, where you can shop online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com for the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere, plus gourmet items. There's only one place, BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon, we've got some sunshine giving way to clouds with a shower in spots, high up to 60, a passing evening shower or two, then partly cloudy tonight, low 45. Real nice tomorrow with clouds and sunshine, the high 67. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm heading our way tomorrow night. Into Monday, cooler with occasional rain, high 55. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. Who's texting me? Gabby Gifford from Hawaii? That's a choice? Okay.
Gabby Gifford?
That's what... Yeah, that's okay.
She's not from Hawaii, is she?
I don't know.
No.
Maybe the texter ought to get the name straight. Oh, let's go to the phones. Linda and Absecon. Linda, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Isn't there a whole bunch of, does it sound like there's a whole bunch of misinformation, or not, I won't say misinformation, I don't know, but isn't there a lot of information missing with the mayor of Atlantic City? I mean, shouldn't we have more on the table here?
Yeah, there's we don't know. All I know is Eddie Jacobs is his attorney, and he's not commenting. And I don't know. He was on the show last week. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. It's
sort of. I don't know any. I really don't know anything about the story. Just a drop here or there, but sort of sounds like President Trump and the stories that they run up against him 6 ways from Sunday, like 24 hours a day.
Yes.
And again, it bears repeating. I don't know anything about it, but we just can't wait to get on to something, can we? We just can't. We just got to get right in there and know everything until we know nothing or a good part of nothing. And then maybe we know the whole thing. I don't know, but it sort of makes me sick. So anyway, I like Jeff Van Drew. Love the man.
Oh, yeah.
Love his courage.
Oh, yeah.
Thought it took a lot of spunk walking away from those Democrats. Great. I was always a big fan of Jeff, even though he was a Democrat, because he governed more like a Republican when down south. I mean, look at Cape May County. Cape May County, it was the largest, best Republican stronghold in New Jersey, I guess, or maybe the largest one in New Jersey. And for some reason, they liked Jeff.
Yeah.
And it used to make me mad. It used to really make me mad because, what are you doing? Give us a Republican. But Jeff ran like a Republican. I have to give it to the guy. Loved his courage, loved what he did. Then you threw in those two names. Noam doesn't impress me. The other girl doesn't thrill me. You threw in DeSantis and you threw in Marco Rubio. I'd go with DeSantis. Hillary Clinton was afraid of Marco Rubio. That's who she feared in the 2016 election.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. But, excuse me, DeSantis, I like DeSantis. Still like DeSantis.
Well, who would you pick? Who would you pick, Linda?
Oh boy, because I like Jeff Van Drew, I'll pick Jeff because I like him, and I think you're smart, Jeff. I really think you're smart.
Yeah, that's a choice that I didn't think of. I really didn't think of that one.
He's loyal. Talk about loyal. And I know Pompeo will be back in the Situation Room pretty soon. That's for sure. I mean, I think that's a slam dunk. And yeah, and as far as the Trump enterprises, I mean, taking it from accountants and not my own, but I mean, large accountants in the New York business world. Do you know how many bankruptcies the Trump enterprises have had in their history?
How many? 5.
And this big high-powered paid CPA says we're really talking about, I'm paraphrasing, we're really talking about 5 bankruptcies. They aren't worth mentioning. And do you want to know what all 5 bankruptcies were?
What?
Casinos. Now,
yes.
Casinos, not all of them, except for one. One was in the entertainment industry. But notice those that went under. But he was smart for getting out of the casino industry. That was called good business, and it is a shame because I thought I wouldn't vote for him because of the people that were hurt. But some people, they just sold the bonds at the right time, and they did all right from my husband's end, of those of which you know. And but no, he did the right thing. I mean, bankruptcies are legal.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
unless Trump's the only one they're not legal for, because NDAs aren't legal. Trump can't have NDAs. Everybody else in the world can have those non-disclosure agreements. We even pay for our politicians to have non-disclosure agreements with anybody they may be having something untoward with that maybe they shouldn't. But the taxpayers will pay for them, and they won't inquire about them.
Yeah.
So go, Jeff.
Okay. Jeff Van Drew. That's another name. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for the call. Al in Corbin City. Al, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Tim Scott.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's one I had down. Yeah.
I'll tell you, and I'll tell you my reason. Number one, it would shore up the African-American vote.
Yes.
Number two, I think he would make a great president after him, and I think the Democrats would have a hard time calling him a racist.
Yeah, that's right.
That's for sure. But you know, his personality, his intelligence, his grace under fire, his ability to sit there and not get shook up when people come at him. I think he'd make a good vice president, but I think I'm thinking more whoever Trump takes as the next president after him.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good. Yeah.
And I mean, I think the governor of South Dakota, I can't think of her name.
Kristi Noem.
I think that she would be a great person too. But I think Scott would be. I think he would bring more votes to him. Jeff Van Drew. The only reason Jeff Van Drew is a good one is because it might help him carry the state of New Jersey.
That's true. But I don't really think, you know, we're talking about this, but I don't really think he needs anybody. But I think Scott would be the best one. That's my opinion.
I do.
That's my opinion. You know, because he checks all the boxes. You know, and now they can't call him a racist. So.
They'll try.
Definitely try.
He got whiteface at a Halloween party.
Yeah,
when he was in high school. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Al, thank you for the call.
Have a great day.
You too, Andy and Brigantine. Andy, welcome back.
Hey, John, I didn't get the question. I had to tune out. Well, I understand that I was getting trashed on the air, but your question, who Trump should pick as a running mate, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I do like Tim Scott, and I do like Ben Carson. There's some other people. While I like them, I find that they do not have the gravitas to be the president of the United States. Tim Scott, very soft-spoken, very nice guy, ethical and all that, but I mean, could you see him? Do you think Putin would be threatened by him? Do you think Putin would be threatened by a Ben Carson who would listen to anything Ben Carson said? And I love these guys, and they could have other positions. You really need somebody that's got some gravitas, someone that, you know, when they walk into a room, look, when Trump walks into a room, all the heads turn. He sucks all the oxygen out of them.
Yes.
I mean, he's you need somebody with that kind of gravitas. And I think, you know, maybe in a few more years in 2028, if he keeps doing what he's doing, you're going to find that quality in Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
I don't think he was there. I don't think this was his moment.
No.
Now, a guy like Chris Christie, I'm not saying that Trump should pick him. I can't stand him.
Oh, no.
Again, there's a guy with gravitas, okay?
Yeah, but it's negative gravitas.
Well, but you know, but what you get from Chris Christie is this thing that he says what he means what he says, and he doesn't care who likes it or not.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, you know, I do like Christie Nome, and remember, anybody he picks who's going to work under him for the next 4 years, they're going to learn perhaps this quality I'm speaking of is going to build, and they'll be ready. That this election, when they keep saying it's the most important election of our lifetime, it really is in two ways. Because remember, Trump. Let's say Trump wins, but he gets only 4 years, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed, and you can't do it in 4 years, but you can set the stage.
Yes.
The next person has to be someone who can not only win in 2028, but win in 2032 and continue the brand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And be the gold standard, the leader of the Republican Party. So, you know, I like Christie Nome. You know, I like from Arizona,
Carrie Lake.
Carrie Lake. Unfortunately, Carrie Lake's not a politician. She's a news reporter. She's really good. She's got gravitas. But I would love to see her serve as the press secretary. But so of the people that have been mentioned so far, I would have to pick Christie Nome because, you know, don't be fooled by her. She's has a very nice presence. She has a very nice way of speaking, but she doesn't put up with any crap. So I would say of those that have been mentioned, she'd be the one I'd go with.
Okay, that's good.
But I wanted to, if I could, this event the other night with Obama and Clinton and Trump.
Yeah. The Three Stooges. The Three Stooges.
Yeah. Think about this. So for 3.5 years, Joe Biden has been the beneficiary of 24 hours of fawning news coverage.
Yep.
The media, the DOJ, the intelligence community, the IRS, the court system, they cover, they protect, they defend, they deflect, they deceive and dodge and explain for Joe Biden and his family. We're told that Joe is doing an amazing job, that the country has never been in better shape than it is now, that the economy's never been better, and that the world has never been a safer place. That's what we're told under Joe Biden. Now, for nearly 8 years, Donald Trump has been treated in precisely the opposite fashion.
Yep.
The government and every agency within it, as well as every institution that I mentioned earlier, has worked 24 hours a day to destroy him. We've been told that he's a threat to democracy, that he's Hitler, that he's a dictator who's going to go after his political opponents, that he's going to unleash a bloodbath and destroy the country. So if what they say about Joe Biden is true, and if they say what they say about Donald Trump is true, then explain to me why Joe Biden needs anyone's help in raising money.
Yeah.
I mean, he should be walking away with this, John.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that he's not tells you that all this stuff, John, seriously, John, when they tell you that the economy is the best it's ever been, I mean, how do they say this with a straight face?
I don't know. That's baffling to me too, because what they don't tell you is, and Andy, thanks for the call again. What they don't tell you is it costs $1,000 more now than it did 3 years ago to buy the same goods. Yeah. They don't tell you that. But yet, the economy's great. It's great. It's Joe Biden. Oh, he brought us out of COVID. Wait a minute. He brought us out of COVID. Donald Trump was the one that got the vaccine fast-tracked. So, it's just a bunch of lies over and over again. George in AC. George, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Well, here we go with a whole bunch of more political lies, I guess.
That's right.
Anyway, Andy just really laid it out so nicely and seriously as far as the foundation of how important that this election is. Okay, how critical and seriously critically important that the vice presidential pick is because of the next 8-year factor. And this is unlike any election in our lifetimes, because you're talking about a president that is going to be coming back for his second term. He only has 1 4-year left. So
right.
There's no question as to how important that next person is. And Trump is going to be able to do so much just with executive orders and management, okay? Legitimate management and legitimate executive orders, regardless of the politics that will be going on, will be nightmarish, regardless of the leftovers and the continuation of the weaponization of the Justice Department. I mean, this deep state is not going to end overnight, okay? So they're going to be coming at him regardless. And this is, I said it before, this is the one man that's got the testosterone to put up with it and keep forging ahead and saving this country. I mean, I believe that.
Yes.
Okay? All right. So, I think that in my opinion, there's a deep bench of a lot of good players for the second position. This second position this time around is more important than most elections for the second position, because we're not talking about 8 years, we're talking about 4 years. This person really has to be able to step up to the plate and as far as I'm concerned, hopefully be able to take forward the foundation that will be laid by Trump 47's term, okay, and take America to a place where it needs to be again, because we're not going to be able to right this ship and get it going real strong in 4 short years, but we can do it in 8 or 12.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So Tim Scott's my man, and because he brings to the table so much energy. I mean, just the energy alone. Hey, look, you got so many other good surrogates. You're going to have Vivek, whatever, Swami, Kristi Noem. She's fantastic. There's a lot of good people in the party, in this new big tent, shall we say, that could be great surrogates. But I only see one person that's got a pizzazz and an energy and filling up the boxes like not too many others, and that's Tim Scott.
Yeah, I agree. He's one that I would vote for. Yeah.
All
definitely.
Right, have a great day.
You too, George. Happy Easter. Let's see here. We have, I'll tell you what, if you can get on the phone, Heather, and see if Tom and Dan will hold, we'll take them after 11 o'clock. Because if it's not fair, we've got a couple of minutes left of the hour. We're getting a consensus now. Tim Scott is a name. Kristi Noem is a name. Good candidates. I mean, obviously one female, one male. What will that do? See, the women vote. I don't know if Trump is going to pick a woman, But I tend to think that that's going to strengthen him. Tim Scott, yeah, that would, but I don't know. It really depends. But the bottom line is Biden's got more money. And, but then again, on the other hand, you can't outspend. If 36% approval rating for Joe Biden, 56% disapprove, money's not going to change that. So that's what I would say about that. But it's really a toss-up there. Biden's got the money, and Trump's got the chutzpah. That's really all we could say. Oh, by the way, we had some questions. Gabby Gifford is from Arizona. Yes. And Tulsi Gabbard is from Hawaii. Okay. Gifford, Gabbard. Okay. Yeah, sure. Oh, we got a lot more to talk about. We're going to start the 11 o'clock hour with Tom and then Dan and maybe you at 609-407-1450. Who should Donald Trump pick as his vice president? We've started the survey, and so far it looks like Tim Scott is in the lead. We'll see. Kristi Noem, Marco Rubio. How about Marjorie Taylor Greene? I don't think so there. No. Oh, hour number 2, boy, in the books. Hour number 3 is on the way, and as you know what we always say, it's on the way. Don't go away. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
5.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us for our final hour of the Easter show. Still didn't get any bunnies in my Easter basket. I can wish, can't I? 609-407-1450 is the number here in the studio. We are asking who is going to be Donald Trump's running mate. And we've got Tim Scott and Kristi Noem and Jeff Van Drew. Who do you think? 609-407-1450. Tom in Pleasantville. Tom, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. How are you today?
Good.
What's Donald Trump's daughter's name? Is it Ivana or Ivanka?
Ivanka.
Yeah, I choose Ivanka to be vice president. She is a strong woman. She is fully capable of running any corporation. I think she would be great. That's my choice. But the real reason for my call is, how about that? A school principal, a desperate child. I heard it first. She first went to a teacher, and then the teacher brought her to the principal and explained the situation. And supposedly this principal, who should never get a job anywhere near kids again because she doesn't have the children's interest in mind. It's more protecting the parents. Well, evidently, she said, I'll call the necessary authorities. But what does she do? What does she do? She goes to the parents. Now, it was reported last week on another radio station that the child was Marty Small and Laquetta Small's child.
Wow. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's very odd. Her being the superintendent of schools. Just imagine if Marty's kid goes in and tells the principal, and you think the principal is going to turn in the kid? No, the principal's going to say, "Hey, Laquetta, hey Marty, your kid's in here blasting you guys. What's going on?" So, I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's still a thug-run city, and it's a shame that Atlantic City can't do better for itself, because I remember Pinky Kravitz saying years ago about he was so Atlantic City loved it and what we're capable of doing, and that charm, that vision. I don't know what's ever going to make it happen again. But anyway, John, love your program.
Thank
love
you. Thank you.
Your callers. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks for the call. Well, this whole call, that was disturbing, because he heard on the other radio station. I don't know. That is disturbing. And we'll see if we can find out this week what happened. Dan in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
I got to give a geography lesson now. Gabby Gifford is back in the days. She's from Arizona. Unfortunately, she was the lady who got shot.
Yes.
And then her husband he still has his head in the clouds. He was an astronaut, Kelly, and he's been nothing for Arizona. So your vice president question, I think it's a pretty easy, very easy choice. You take an executive. Let's say you're a China group and you want to come in and buy 10,000 acres of land in South Dakota. You know what her answer is? Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy it here.
Yeah, that's good. That is a good answer.
Her jobs program, when she went on the air and did those commercials, and the way she runs her state with the surplus, she's a tremendous executive. You look at, to me, the governors, they have to run states. The legislators, one in 435, the senators, senators are just basically haggle back and forth. And when's the last time a good senator was a president of the United States?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You got to go back a little bit for that, right?
How about John F. Kennedy?
Yeah. Then you got a stinker right after him. LBJ senator.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That was a stinker. Yeah.
I look for a strong cabinet. Trump makes up with Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo takes the Defense Department. He becomes the Secretary of Defense because he's more qualified than anybody in that. Finished number 1 at West Point. I think he finished number 5 in Harvard. So he's capable of running that department and shaping it up a little bit and get it away from the wokesters.
Yeah,
and then,
that's true.
Tim Scott would be an excellent Secretary of State. He's a great orator, and he's all business. And he wouldn't be like Tony Blinken when we're withdrawing from Afghanistan. He was on his porch in the Hamptons.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
The last one, Jan, is they made $26 million at their fundraiser that week. Donald Trump made $3 billion in his IPO.
Oh, yes, Truth Social, yes, yeah.
I had an uncle like that, my Uncle Jack. Like, Trump is the same guy. They can go into a phone booth and quarters fall on their feet.
Yeah. That's good.
Take care.
You too. Happy Easter.
Easter.
609-407-1450. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. 609-407-1450. A couple of open lines here, so it's a good time for you to get in here. Let's talk to Alex again. Alex, welcome back.
Hey, good morning again, John. Just a few things here.
You're
very
popular, by the way, on this show.
Well, you know what? I've been in and out, and it's why I listen to the podcast. So, you know what? I got headaches, so I can imagine. Anyway, the prior gentleman, it's all well and good that he made that money on Truth Social, but he better spend some of it for his campaign.
Yeah, that's right. He should.
All those funds have to be registered,
And when you look at the amount of money coming into the Democrats, they're trouncing the Republicans. But I think that's partially the Republican leadership's fault. Anyway, so much for the theory that big business loves Republicans, that they're giving a lot of money to Democrats.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about some of the stupid things I hear from what I call the aggrieved middle-class white college students. Everybody's children and grandchildren. Did you know, John, that classical music, along with William Shakespeare, is racist?
No, I didn't. Jeez.
Yeah, they're getting this from the academic industrial complex. Of course, I pointed out to one young lady, well, that doesn't explain all the African American composers and classical artists and opera singers, I said. So how do you explain that? And William Shakespeare, this, again, aggrieved middle-class white college student, she said that it's because all the plays are about white men and the patriarchy. I said, well, what about Othello? And, of course, but they're getting this from their professors. And I forget the guy's last name. His first name was Roger. He founded the ACLU. Now, I don't know if you remember, Jimmy Carter gave him a posthumous Medal of Freedom. I know Jimmy Carter's been rehabilitated, but he was an awful president.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. In fact, the worst in my lifetime. I ranked him number one as the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd probably still be number one if Buchanan were still alive. But anyway, this Roger, last name escapes me, but he founded the ACLU. And, as the ACLU got into the mainstream, he claimed, I'm not a Marxist, though no longer a Marxist, though in the beginning he was. Well, when he was still a Marxist, he did some writings. And what he said is that the left, the far left, has to inject itself into everyday American life, the education system, sports, entertainment, just everything. And in other words, once they're in, they have to become acceptable. So what do you see in sports now? You see men competing against women and breaking their backs, things like that. Look at the education system. If you want to know, even though we had actually zero population growth and a decline in population, the colleges and universities went into panic mode. And that's why whenever somebody announces things like the DREAM Act and stuff like that, they're all for it because their biggest fear is they'll have no students and they'll have to shut down.
That's right. That's right.
And what we're seeing in young people today, and again, I ask their parents and grandparents, do you ever talk to these kids? And when they say something stupid like that, besides telling them they're wonderful and they're good kids, do you ever say, well, that's really stupid? But and we're going to reap. Unfortunately, we're getting older, and this nation is going to reap one could say the benefits, I guess, is on the left of that kind of thinking. And the other thing that bothers me about it is they are, whatever the whim is and whatever the thing of the moment is, they tend to go along, as most young people do, but it's worse now.
Yes, it is.
And I have to tell you, if the entertainment industry, which at this point seems pretty much behind Biden, puts a full court press on, that whole generation, as far as voters, is lost.
Yeah.
And I know, when I get on here and I try to give people a touch of reality, it gets them upset, but that's the reality.
Well, don't you worry about that. Let me worry about that, Alex.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll just end it in this. Yelling, when they call you, and I tend to have a loud voice, I admit, but when folks call you, there's a few that somehow think if they start yelling that somehow enhances their argument, and these individuals know who they are.
Yeah.
But John, I'm very serious here. These kind of things and that kind of thinking especially among the young, really, really bothers me. It doesn't seem to bother anyone else, but you know what?
No, it bothers me too. No, it bothers me too. I really, it does, you know.
The founder of the ACLU, when he was a Marxist, and he wrote to do that, you've got that in scouting. You've got that ideology in every aspect of American life. And I don't think, John, I can't figure out how it's ever going to be turned back unless adults are willing to sit these empty-headed people, as the commentator and writer Douglas Murray, who's a conservative, said when these students were protesting in favor of Hamas, and they were protesting him giving a speech. He went out there and said, "Would you just all shut up and go back to school?" and you know what, parents and grandparents, you got to tell them, shut up. It's just stupidity they're spewing forth. Anyway, John,
thanks for the call. Thanks for the call. Okay, thanks for the call. Let's talk to Dave in San Francisco. This should be a lot of fun. Dave, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. Have you ever read any Alexander Dumas? I've
heard of him, but I haven't read him.
Three Musketeers.
Oh, yes.
And Count of Monte Cristo, and there were a lot more.
Yeah.
And if you ever get to read him, you realize there are different psyops. You know what psyops means, right? Psychological operations.
Yes.
Where, it's as if, a governmental hypnotist, somebody trying to trick the government into siding with this crony or that crony. And so under Alexander Dumas, like the Queen had an army, the King had an army, the church had an army, and there were all of these intrigues going on all the time. And, the common denominator between back then and today is currency speculators. People that play with the currency, the value of a nation, the reputation of a nation, and they bounce it up and up and up, and then they crash it down, down, down. And so it's that the reputations of whole people, which is translated into the value of their currency, is bounced around. And the currency speculators love it because they buy low, sell high, and so they love bouncing it, and rather than slow and steady wins the race. And it basically rips apart the agriculture system. It rips apart anybody that deals with commodities is torn apart. When the value of the currency goes from X to Y and then back to N and Q and P, the value of whole nations, like the school districts have to go bankrupt because of playing games like that. A whole bunch of agencies, the sewer department, the water department, they end up going bankrupt when the value of the currency starts bouncing around. And it's amazing, that's how they talk about civilizations collapsing. It's the currency speculators rather than anything logical.
So, what's your point, Dave?
Well, that previous caller, he's always got somebody to hate, and it just reminds me of the currency speculators. They say, hate this nation, praise this nation, this is a good one, that's a bad one, this one's good, bad, bad, good, good. And they bounce the currency. They bounce the reputations of nations. And they've been doing it. Alexander Dumas is 150 years ago. Voltaire was writing about it 100 years before him. No doubt, Jesus, when he's talking about coins, render unto Caesar what he deserves. And if Caesar's a piece of crap, then that's what Caesar deserves. The idea that people are going to play games with the value of people's lives simply by bouncing a currency, that's what led to World War I. It's what led to World War II, and it dragged it on. That's why the International Monetary Fund got created, because if people didn't have gold in their treasuries, they could at least have value by everything that they've built before and everything that, if they improve their education system, then that gives value to the nation. And so you still got these currency speculators playing games and then, ripping apart the school districts and ripping apart the value of a nation or even the potential value of a nation by demanding that the school districts go bankrupt. No, these creeps they have they'll allow nations to go starving. They'll have people pitted against each other for the stupidest things. I mean, you think of Donald Trump right now is trying to hawk a Bible, much less if he was a shoe salesman 2 weeks ago. This guy is such a huckster, and people still believe him. It's friggin' amazing. You got to laugh, but it's sickening too.
Well, that's your opinion, David, and thanks for the call. Yeah, I could see that he's a very, very good salesman. He's been all his life, and that's how he's gotten to where he is. And he's done a great job for the country. You got to give him that. 609-407-1450, another rare moment in the show. We have some open lines. If you want to jump in here, what do you think? Who should Donald Trump pick for his running mate? We've had consensus, Tim Scott, Kristi Noem. Those seem to be the two big names. Who do you think? 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, again, we remind you that you can listen to any of our shows at any time. All you have to do is Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and everything comes up. I mean, over 200 shows. So you can listen anytime, anywhere. You got it. It's like the radio version of On Demand. I love it. John DeMasi Podcast is what you Google, and all the shows come up. It's that simple. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Again, 609-407-1450, our number here in the studio. I thought since we've mentioned a lot today the black-white issue, I thought you'd really find this story unbelievable. This is in Yeadon, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. A former Yeadon police chief, he contended that he was fired in 2022. He was, it was because it was racially motivated. Because he, as the police chief, was white, and 90% of the town's residents are black. Okay, we got that. So, he sues, and he wins and gets $2.5 million. How's that for a little role reversal? He contends that council members, and all of them were black, conspired to replace him simply because he's white. And they also damaged his personal and professional reputation by distributing fast fact flyers about his firing to every resident in the borough. How about that? So he gets $2.5 million. Was it worth it? Who knows? But his reputation may be damaged. We welcome back Bob in Florida. Bob, good morning. Welcome back.
Hey, good morning, John. Look, with regard to Vice President, Tim Scott's a nice guy, and I think he's got the inside track. He wasn't anti-Trump ever, but never that enthusiastic as he suddenly has become. And again, he's a nice guy. I do think if something happens to Trump or 2028, I think Tim Scott will become a tool of the rhinos that want to really control the Republican Party. They don't like being out of control, and they'll do whatever they need to do to get control. Again, maybe Sarah Huckabee Sanders probably be a better choice. Again, I don't really know where she stands on big issues like immigration or foreign policy, but she seemed to work pretty good with Trump. But it does look like Tim Scott's got the inside track on that. I think that's the case. But look, getting back, David's always interesting when he calls up, but it's almost always wrong. Currency manipulation, that has very little to do with the disaster that we've had with Biden and his inflation. It really has all to do with unnecessary government spending. When COVID was over, and we knew it was over before Biden took office, Biden continued to open the spigot. The spending has doubled. The national budget has doubled. COVID's over with. We don't need this economic stimulus to continue. It's when the Fed prints too much money, when too much money gets injected in a money supply, that's what causes inflation. When everybody has all this free money, it drives up the cost of goods. That's just the answer. So, the answer is obvious of why we have inflation, why people are hurt by it, because big government wants to keep spending. In New Jersey, they keep spending like crazy. Federal government keeps spending like crazy. So that's the real answer, not what David's. Unfortunately.
Well, I kind of let David talk because the longer he talks, the more ridiculous it becomes. So, and then it always ends up Donald Trump is a disaster. So,
I'm glad you let him on because you should have a diversity of viewpoints, and that's fine. But you just analyze what David says. Usually, it's just way off. It's usually way off. It is. But don't you agree? We had inflation because they spent money like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Businesses got money that didn't need money. Some did. Of course, some did. Some of these restaurants that were just through no fault of their own, they were killed.
Yeah.
But, there's so much fraud going on. It's so easy to see,
Yeah.
It's,
They still have COVID money that they have left over, and you hear it many times. Oh, leftover COVID money. Where did that come from? Well, they had this money for that. It's just crazy.
Well, why don't they pay down the national debt?
Yeah, that would help.
Why don't they give people a tax cut?
Yeah,
But look, they just want to They want to send money to Ukraine. They flush billions and trillions of dollars down the toilet. That's just the reality of the federal government. And, I don't know. John, I just don't know how we're going to right this ship.
Yeah, I don't either. But we hope that Biden doesn't get to right the ship for 4 more years. That's for sure. Biden
steers this ship, our country, we're headed straight for an iceberg. That's what we're headed for.
Oh, Bob, thanks again. Thanks again for the call. Appreciate it. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. I have often said that the casual, passive voter is ripe for these kinds of editorials. And the major newspapers, New York Times, Philadelphia Inquirer, Washington Post, all of them are in the same boat. You could take any editorial and put them in either paper. It doesn't matter. But this is what, and if people read this, they say, oh, well, Biden's all right. Here is what a recent editorial. You ready for this? During his State of the Union address, an enthusiastic Biden emphasized his record of delivering for American families and the chaos certain to materialize should he lose re-election in November. Gee, why don't they just put Trump in there? Because that's who they're talking about. The chaos. What? The chaos is Biden. Look at all the stuff he's done in the negative. So they go on to say, Biden has a track record to be proud of. What are they looking at? Will they tell me? Biden has a track record to be proud of. His State of the Union address showed he has the energy, spirit, and enthusiasm he'll need to defend it. Yeah, like when he said, I crossed that bridge many times on the train going to Delaware. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Was there a train on that bridge? No, never was. I mean, he just makes stuff up. So he can make up that I'm doing well for the country, but that's not the case. They keep saying in this editorial, the energy. What? Well, because he talked loud and we're going to do this. And then he offers condolences in the speech. We didn't talk about this a couple of weeks ago. He mentions Laken Riley, the nursing student who was killed by an undocumented immigrant. The undocumented immigrant was because Biden let them in. So what is he talking about? Is he talking about it's my fault? No, he didn't say that. He didn't say, oh, I opened the borders up and let anybody in. No. Talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. It will save households thousands of dollars thanks to a cap on prescription drug costs for people on Medicare. Okay. I'm on Medicare. I pay $4 for every prescription. What did Biden do for me? I paid that before. So what is he talking about here? Oh, the infrastructure. He's really helped the infrastructure. Okay, that's good. But he ruined everything else. Ruined the economy. Okay, so the market is up. Jobs are up. But you got to work 2-3 jobs now to afford the same goods you did before. So what's the story here? They don't say that. They don't say that that's the case. But it is. Oh, yes. The deck is stacked. And I hope that the American public wakes up. Let's talk to John in Ocean City. John, welcome back.
Yes, good morning. They claimed that it was a mechanical failure, an electrical outage that caused that ship to accidentally
crash into the support columns of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yes.
But that's kind of sort of bogus, because even if the power had abruptly gone out or off, that ships should have still kept moving. In other words, if you turn the power off, it doesn't mean the ship's not going to keep moving. So that ship came to an abrupt end. It traveled parallel to the bridge, and then he took a sharp left and backed it right into the columns. So that looked on purpose to me. As far as people not saying anything negative about President Trump, I do have some things that I disagree with that he did, but I will not bring them up because there's people who see nothing but wrong in President Trump. Therefore, whatever you say, it just adds fuel to the fire.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as, yeah, that's right. Now, there's a man named Albert Pike who I've brought up quite often, and I did see a website that's actually, it looks provable to me that he's the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. Even if I can't prove that he's a founder of the KKK, he was the chief judiciary of it, and he was a grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan in Arkansas. And what he was in jail for was the reason why he was in prison toward the end of the Civil War, right before President Lincoln was assassinated, was atrocities on the battlefield. And one of the things that he did was he had Union soldiers that had been captured, and they surrendered, and him and his men who were on horseback, they tried to say it was a bunch of savage Indians that killed those poor men. No, actually, him and his men were on horseback, and they all had guns in their hands, whereas the contingency of American Indian people that were under him, the Creek, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Cherokee, was what he did was he fed them grain alcohol, which is almost 100% alcohol, and he put some black gunpowder in it a little bit, not to make it catch on fire, but just a wee bit. And they fed these Indians that concocted a beverage. And what they did was they told these Indians, they said, these Yanks have come down here to take you back as their slaves. Now, what are you going to do about it? But right before they set the Indians on these surrendered soldiers, they wounded them. They shot them in the legs and arms. They didn't kill them. And the Indians scalped them and killed them. So he was actually rotting up a jail cell toward the end of the Civil War. And actually, President Lincoln was like, what do I do with these a-holes? Do I put them in front of a firing squad or do I send them to the gallows? But President Lincoln was assassinated, and then it was Andrew Johnson that exonerated them. So they never stood before a jury of their peers, that being Albert Pike and the Creeks that were in power with him on the battlefield there. But it's the Battle of Pea Ridge. And he actually never went before a jury of his peers. It never went to trial. And when he died, they made a statue of that creep and put it in Judiciary Square. And it stood for about 120 years before it was torn down. It should have never been there to begin with. What they should have done was put it in the library and have this whole laundry list of all the wicked stuff that he did. And also, he's buried in Washington, D.C. in a Greek. It's a Greek temple. It's not even a mausoleum. It's actually, it looks like a Greek temple. That's what it is. So that's how you treat war criminals in America. No, that's not exactly true. There's been bad and good in this country all the way back to its founding.
Yes,
that's right. That's the real truth. And the whole thing is that about President Trump, he actually signed USMCA into law to counter trade piracy. Can I prove that NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, signed in by His Royal Majesty Bill Clinton? Can I prove it's trade piracy? Actually, I can. I can prove it. It was actually His Royal Highness Barack Hussein Obama that actually took $11 billion American taxpayer money to bail out GM, General Motors. And instead of building a Ford plant there in Detroit where it was desperately needed, understand there were 14 mammoth Ford plants outside of Detroit. I forget the name of the town that's outside of Detroit. But anyway, and in Detroit itself, they built these huge Ford plants. And they all went belly up under Democrat leadership, not Republican. And instead of building a Ford plant that was desperately needed, he built it and took another $3.2 billion American taxpayer monies and opened up a Ford plant in Mexico City. There's a lot of reasons why we can't vote left. The two men who were worth voting for in the left were John and Bobby Kennedy, and they were both assassinated.
Yeah.
And, the whole thing is we have to come out in numbers and force and vote President Trump in, because there's the old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So we can't. There's ample evidence that election there was fraud involved in that election on November 3rd, 2020. So we have to do this. We have to keep fighting. We can't give up. We can't get disheartened.
That's right.
That's all I have to say. Thanks.
That's right, John. Thanks. Good call. 609-407-1450. That's the number here in the studio. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And by the way, we are also heard. We have our Talk with a Purpose replay. It's our 2-hour version of today's show. It's 5 until 7 every Sunday right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. So if you miss it today, you catch it tomorrow. It's our Easter Sunday special. Talk with a Purpose is the show. We are coming back, and your calls, 609-407-1450, after these words.
Easter bread, pies, cakes, and all your holiday goodies. It's all right there at BF Mazzio. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, also has a full catering menu to make your holiday entertaining easier. And of course, don't forget their award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets. BF Mazzio, where you can shop online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. For the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere, plus gourmet items. There's only one place, BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon, we've got some sunshine giving way to clouds with a shower in spots, high up to 60, a passing evening shower or two, then partly cloudy tonight, low 45. Real nice tomorrow with clouds and sunshine, the high 67. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm heading our way tomorrow night. Into Monday, cooler with occasional rain, high 55. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Oh, we're back. How dare the show interrupt our conversations? Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Heather DeLuca is in for Chris for these last 2 hours. She eats ripe bananas. And what I'll tell you, ever since I was a kid, if it's a little bit brown, don't eat it. So we are accepting all ripe bananas for the Heather DeLuca fan club.
My banana graveyard.
Oh, let's go to the phones. Wendy in Egg Harbor Township. Wendy, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Thank you. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
I just wanted to give a shout out that last Thursday was the 41st annual Atlantic Cape Community College Restaurant Gala. Springtime in Paris
yes.
was the theme, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, and it was successful, and the amount of the donation total was $306,000.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And it benefits basically the culinary department.
Good.
Yeah, so all those students who also participated for the first time in their life in, a real life setting and everything, they were so excited and they were just like, oh, can't wait to start their future in culinary, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to impart something exciting and happy.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's okay. What else do you have?
Well, that was basically it, and I just want to wish you a happy Easter.
Well, thank you. Same to you. And may all your bunnies be good ones.
Thank you. Let's not eat too much chocolate.
That's
too,
right. That's right. Thanks for the call, Wendy.
John.
Let's talk to Sarah. Sarah, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hello, good morning. If you hear me a little bit slurred, I just had surgery, but I'm doing all right.
Good.
I just wanted to say about gentleman David, or whatever his name is. I was on that side, and I was under the spell of Biden. But I am now not. Biden B for bad, B for boring, B for butchering the United States, B for a boo, because he does not know what he's doing.
Oh, of course not.
He's been very, very, very bad with a capital B for country, the economy, international relations. He went all out of his way to help release the women's basketball player and did nothing for police officers that have been slain in the line of duty.
Yeah.
And it's horrible that you go to the store and things are $2 or $3 more than what it used to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I told the story, Sarah, on the air a couple of weeks ago. I went to buy olive oil, and I thought, I looked twice, and I said, is that right? $34.99.
It's bad. Income is not increased, and if income has increased, it's been eaten up by healthcare costs. People are struggling with housing, and it's good, honest citizens. And like Donald Trump said, we need to bring back law and order. There is no respect for police, teachers, authority, the military. We have to start going back to the basics and honor the Constitution.
That's right. That's right. We certainly do.
And that female district attorney is just after Donald Trump's head.
Oh,
all she wants.
No question.
She couldn't care about the man who killed the police officer. He had 21 prior arrests. 21 prior arrests. And he was just down the street doing a fundraiser with Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yeah.
And it's a disgrace that he couldn't even reach out or even make a big statement about the bridge. And who do we have in charge? Pete Buttigieg. And only got it because he was gay.
That's right.
And I don't care if someone's gay or not, but get it because you're qualified.
That's right.
And he's
That's right.
Qualified.
He's not qualified. He in fact, he just got back from a 6-month leave for paternity. Did he have a baby? No, but I mean, 6 months.
He got the job because of his orientation.
That's correct.
Get the job
That's
because
correct.
of your qualifications.
That's right.
Not orientation.
Right.
Qualifications first.
That's right. Sarah, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. That's the liberal way. You get the job because you check the right boxes, not because you're qualified. I remember it used to be you got a job because you were qualified. Like in radio. Are you experienced? You couldn't get a job if you didn't have experience. How do you get experience if you don't have a job? You begged, borrowed, and stole, and then you got in, and you worked for nothing, and then you got experience. But that's another story. 609-407-1450. We got some open lines. We want to end the show with your calls. 609-407-1450. We haven't mentioned Robert Kennedy is the independent candidate running for president, and it looks as though he's a liberal, of course. He's going to siphon off some votes from Biden. He is definitely going to siphon votes off from Biden because, first of all, he's a liberal. That's number one. And number two, he was a Democrat. So those two alone. So does that help Trump? I believe it does, because anything that takes votes away from Biden is going to help Trump. That's for sure. John didn't give us his pick. So, okay, we'll do that. John in Ocean City.
Yes.
We didn't let you forgot the most important thing.
Tell me about it. I did. I still would like to see Bobby Kennedy Jr. as his running mate. It would throw a monkey wrench in the political process, I think. It would really shake things up. It would really get the buggy rocking, put it that way. They're both very competent men. They have many points that they agree on. It would help bridge the gap between this division between black and white people especially. But, we have to have a united America. On the eve of our bicentennial, when it was written into law in 1798, right? 1789. I'm screwed up today, man. 1789 is when our beloved Constitution was written into law. And in 1988, our 100th Congress expressed a debt of gratitude to the Iroquois tribes, Onondaga, Oneida, Tuscarawas, Cayuga, Seneca, and Mohawks, for their valued contribution to our Constitution and how it works in America. Even Russell Means, the radical Russell Means, co-founder of the American Indian Movement, they were a bunch of Uncle Toms. They were radical. He loved our Constitution because it's based on Native American Indian law. It's a sister document. Our sister document is the Guyanaskua, the Great Law of Peace, not frigging Adolf frigging Hitler's Mein Kampf or that nut dog Karl Marx in his Communist Manifesto. So, yeah, I would like this. Or if not Bobby Kennedy Jr., then, yes, Jeff Van Drew would be a perfect pick, too. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for the call. Okay, a couple of things about Bobby Kennedy Jr. First of all, he's a Democrat. So I don't think Trump would pick him as his running mate. That's number one. Number two, if Bobby Kennedy runs as an independent, as I just said before, he's going to siphon off votes from Biden because kind of they're in the same genre, if you will. They're both liberal. And, well, he was a Democrat. Now he's an independent. So, really, I don't think Trump would pick him because that would help Biden. So why would he do that? So in these final few minutes of the show, who do you think Trump should pick as his vice president? We've had Jeff Van Drew. We've had Kristi Noem. We've had Tim Scott. Jeff Van Drew. You name him. Who do you think? Is there another name? How about Ron DeSantis? I would say that, but hey, maybe then he runs for president in 28. That would be a good jumping point for him. And he was the one who was the closest to Trump in the nominating process. We'll see. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. This thing with Mayor Marty Small, and I will try to find out more this week. It's disturbing, and if that rumor is, and I hope it's not true, but a search warrant was executed Thursday at Marty Small's home, and we understand also that the Atlantic City High School principal had a student, and she didn't go to the authorities because the student said his parents were abusing him. Who knows? This story has got so many holes, and we will attempt to dig into this during the week. But we'll see what happens there. The other thing is, we've been asking who's going to be the vice presidential running mate for Donald Trump, and it remains to be seen. But we have some names that we've bandied about here. Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, Jeff Van Drew, etc. Who would be the one to take the vice presidential nomination? We'll see. Couple minutes left of the show, 609-407-1450. This story about the police chief who was white and got fired because he was black, because he was white, and the town is 90% black. When does it say that you have to be the same color as most of the people in your town? And this was a police officer. He had been in the he had been in the district for many, many years. I mean, he was a police officer for at least 20 years. And he was fired because he was white. He sued. He got $2.4 million in damages, an additional $100,000 in lost wages. And, he was in law enforcement all his life, and much of it in the town where he was the chief. And he sued, and he won. I'll tell you, it's just we seem to have a recurring theme that if you're white, people have said to me, "Well, you're privileged." What privilege did I grow up in? My father drove a trolley. Okay, is that a privileged upbringing? My mother was a secretary in a hospital. What privilege was that? It just seems to be that when you are white, they say, "Oh, you're privileged." Well, you make your own privilege. I mean, my father went to work every day, and he did until the day he retired. Some 30-some years as a trolley driver. And so I don't understand this whole thing of, oh, well, you're white and you're privileged. It seems to be a recurring theme all over the place. Well, if you don't have many blacks, you got to have more blacks. What it should be that there isn't a quota. It should be just, okay, who's the most qualified? Who is the most qualified? That's all. Just never ceases to amaze me. Oh, getting a couple of calls in, so we'll try to take them before we leave you. 609-407-1450. Well, we'll see. Again, I want to reiterate the Marty Small situation. We'll see if we can find out any more about that. Let's see. What do we have here? We have Albert in Corbin City. Al, good morning. Welcome back.
How you doing?
Good.
This is a particular subject that really pisses me off because my father came out of World War II, okay?
Yes.
Started at Seaview Country Club as a vegetable cook. Worked his way up to eventually the director of food and beverage. Nobody gave him a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Okay?
Yeah.
My mom came from a very, very poor family. My mom worked as a hairdresser. All the things that we had in our home, she bought most of the furniture stuff out of the money that she made and her tips for hairdressing. That's white privilege.
Yeah.
It's white privilege, the fact that at 15 years old, I started working towards I'm a chef like my father was. And I worked myself up to executive chef. I worked myself up to that position. All my kids, okay? My daughter is a top salesperson at Bennett Chevrolet. She started at the bottom at that place. She works on her days off. If somebody calls for her because she's a salesperson, they call her on her day off. She's there. That's white privilege.
Yeah.
I am so sick to hearing this.
Me too. I
really am. I know a lot of African Americans being in the industry that I'm in. They feel the same way as I do.
Yeah.
They don't believe that all this racist crap, and I'm so sick of it. I am so up to my ears.
Yep.
We're making roads. They were making roads so that black people and people underprivileged people could not get there. Did you hear this guy who's supposed to be the secretary of traffic and stuff? Why don't you sit there and worry about the trains that came off the rail in Ohio? I mean, this is ridiculous. These people are so out of touch with reality, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's all I got to say.
You can rant. We have, do we have time?
Yeah,
Phil in Little Egg Harbor?
He's got 30 seconds.
He's 30 seconds, Phil.
Hello.
Yes,
Hi.
Phil.
Listen, we need DeSantis and Scott in there running somehow. Maybe DeSantis for vice president or Scott for vice president. And the other one,
two good choices. Yeah. Yes, two good choices. Yeah. Sorry, Phil. We don't have time. We got to end the show. Sorry for that. But thanks for the call. That is going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Thanks to Chris Coleman. Thanks to Heather DeLuca for filling in. And thanks to you, because without you, there's no me. I always say that. I'm John DeMasi. Have a happy Easter. We'll talk to you next Saturday. Talk with a Purpose, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. You take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.